believe I'm in the WNBA. Like I've been a little girl. But when I feel like when the first game comes, I'm probably gonna be like, oh my gosh, like we're playing against New York, against Sabrina Ionescu. Like those are girls you look up to like in middle school. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be crazy.
I saw that you talked to Dawn and had a chance to FaceTime with Dawn Staley, another teammate. What advice did they give you coming into, playing in the first pro game?
Oh, they just said learn, be a sponge. They said, and give myself some grace. Don't put so much pressure on myself because you're a rookie at the end of the day.
That nervous energy you just saw? That's genuine. Caitlin Clark admitting she still can't believe she's in the WNBA, talking about looking up at players like Sabrina Ionescu in middle school, now sharing the court with them. But here's what makes this moment significant. The Fever aren't just throwing their rookies into the fire and hoping for the best. There's a deliberate strategy happening behind the scenes, and it starts with advice from two players who know exactly what Clark is about to face. Dawn Staley and Aliyah Boston both told her the same thing: be a sponge. Give yourself grace. You're going up against elite talent. That's not generic rookie advice. That's specific counsel about managing expectations in a league where every opponent has been waiting years to prove themselves against the hype. And based on what we're seeing in training camp, the Fever's coaching staff is building their entire preseason approach around that philosophy.
And then just kind of ask a lot of questions. What are some of the big things that you've learned and taken away here over the first few days?
I learned a lot, like moving up without the ball in my hand. I feel like the IQ for the game here, everybody on this team has elite level IQ. They move with a purpose. They're smart. They know what they're doing. They're vets. It explains it all, honestly.
Has Steph given you an idea, the coach any idea of what your playing time might look like Saturday or how they're planning to use you into the end of the game?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to be ready whenever my number's called. Yeah.
How quick was the transition, from one to the next, and how are you being mindful of your body and giving it rest after the Final Four run again?
Oh, it was very quick. I feel like I just played like a week ago, literally, but I'm just taking care of my body. I have a good training staff that helps me, ice tub, even the vets, they tell me to get in the ice tub every day, which I hate. I hate the ice tub, but I get in it and just take care of.
Notice what she's emphasizing there. Moving without the ball. Elite level basketball IQ. Playing with purpose. Those aren't the skills that made her a college superstar. Clark dominated at Iowa by having the ball in her hands, running the offense, making every decision. But the WNBA is different, and she's already identifying the gap between college dominance and professional survival. The quick turnaround from the Final Four to training camp gave her exactly 1 week of rest. 1 week between playing in front of record-breaking crowds in college to suddenly being the youngest player in a professional locker room. And the veterans aren't letting her ease into it. They're telling her to get in the ice tub every single day, even though she hates it. That's not hazing, that's preparation. Because the Fever knows something that casual fans don't understand yet. The physical toll of an 80-game season destroys rookies who don't take recovery seriously.
At Barclays Center, look around hey, here we are, kind of the...
Yes, I'm probably gonna be like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I feel like I'm dreaming. I don't even know how to explain. This is like a surreal moment, honestly. But I'm probably gonna be like, wow. I'm probably gonna look at the players and be like, Brianna Stewart, what the heck? Sabrina Ionescu, I'm probably gonna do stuff like that.
How are you feeling about things a week into camp now?
Feeling good. I think everyone, today's a good day. You can feel the excitement. We did a little bit of personnel heading into the game tomorrow, so I think everyone's really excited for first chance at a real game.
So how do you approach these preseason games, I guess? What's kind of your mentality? How do you handle this now? Have been through this before.
Yeah, it's good to get live reps, game reps, get a chance to really understand how the warm-ups go, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel ready for the game, and then in the game, I'm sure we'll mix the lineup, so building chemistry out there with everybody. But ultimately, it's to win. I think there'll be a lot of competitiveness first preseason game of the season, so I think everyone's excited, but we're treating it like...
That's the moment it becomes real. Not in practice, not in scrimmages, but when you walk into an opposing arena and see players you idolized sitting across from you in the opposing locker room. Sabrina Ionescu isn't a poster on your wall anymore. She's the person trying to expose every weakness in your game for 40 minutes. But watch how Sabrina approaches this from the other side. She's talking about building chemistry with new lineups, mixing personnel, understanding who cuts and who fights over screens. The Liberty aren't worried about their rookies the way Indiana is. They're a championship contending team trying to integrate new pieces into an established system. The Fever are doing something completely different. They're trying to build a system around players who've never played together at this level. And that creates a fascinating dynamic in these preseason games. For New York, it's about fine-tuning rotations. For Indiana, it's about discovering whether their rookies can even survive against this level of competition.
Honestly, all of them. I've been very impressed with their just willingness to learn, willingness to like take feedback, ask questions. They've gotten better every single day. And I think that's just, they came from great college programs, great college coaches, and they're excited to be here, and I think you can really tell that.
Do you have any advice? Do you give any advice to the rookies on what to expect when they take that floor for the first time?
I mean, watch the people in front of you. Watch the people out there the first 5 minutes so you can kind of see the pace of the game, the feel of it, and try to have fun and play without nerves. I think for them, a lot of times, they'll go out there, they're nervous to screw up. As a rookie, I can definitely attest to that you feel the pressure, but it's just another basketball game, and hopefully they'll go out, have fun, get some stops, make some baskets.
There's the veteran perspective on rookie nerves. Sabrina's advice: watch the first 5 minutes, see the pace, then play without fear of screwing up. But notice what she says next. As a rookie, you feel the pressure. But once the whistle blows, it's just basketball. Except it's not just basketball. Not when you're the most hyped rookie in WNBA history. Not when every possession gets analyzed on social media. Not when opposing players have been waiting months to test you physically in ways that would get flagged in college. The pressure doesn't disappear when the whistle blows. It intensifies. And that's where the Fever's coaching strategy becomes critical. They're not just managing Caitlin Clark's minutes or development. They're managing the entire roster's expectations about what this season actually is. Because here's what nobody wants to say publicly. This isn't a championship season for Indiana. This is a development season disguised as a playoff push.
What's kind of the mental approach to this game? And is it you want to see everybody, or how do you kind of handle that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to get everybody a little bit of minutes. Certainly want to give everybody an opportunity to step out on the floor and to play. Want to try to work some rotations, some combinations, see what they look like on both ends of the floor. Making sure we start to find rotations that can be as good on the offensive end and equally as good on the defensive end. So we'll probably run it very similar in the first half, and then in the second half, kind of get people some minutes.
Will anybody not play?
I'm not sure yet. We'll see how we go through.
Percent healthy, no restrictions, but how do you, help prepare, or maybe do you change?
Now we get to the real strategy. Coach Christy Sides is being very deliberate here. She wants to give everyone minutes, try different combinations, find rotations that work on both ends of the floor. That's standard preseason coaching. But then she says something revealing. They'll run it similar in the first half, then in the second half, she's going to get people minutes. Translation: the starters are set, the rotation is mostly decided. These preseason games are about evaluating the back end of the bench and giving rookies enough exposure to see if they can handle real game situations. The Fever already know who their core players are. What they don't know is how deep their roster actually goes. And that matters because of what comes next in this interview. The discussion shifts immediately to load management for veterans, specifically Kelsey Mitchell and Aliyah Boston. Sides mentions being mindful of reps, understanding that older players don't need to go through everything. That's not just about this preseason game. That's about the entire season philosophy.
What do you think about this preparation going into the longest season in W history?
I think the biggest thing is just making sure that we're mindful of this is day one. She doesn't have to be out there every rep. Just being mindful of reps. I think every year that she gets older too, she understands. The cadence is a little bit different. It's not like she has any to go out there and go through everything. I think with her, with Kelsey, with AB, with all of them, just be mindful of getting them in and out. And we need to get other people integrated anyway. So I think it'll give us a good opportunity to do that.
Is there an approach change with Kelsey this year after she said last year with an overused thing she felt like at the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, numbers matter. Certainly having depth, and hopefully we can keep our depth. In a perfect world, she's not playing that many minutes. None of our starters are playing that many minutes, and we just were in a situation where we had to. So I think managing that early is going to be important.
Here's the critical admission. Last season, Kelsey Mitchell felt overused by the end of the year. She said it publicly. The Fever were in a situation where they had to play their starters heavy minutes because they didn't have adequate depth. Now Sides is acknowledging that numbers matter, that having depth matters, and in a perfect world, none of their starters are playing excessive minutes. But here's the problem. They're not in a perfect world. They're in the WNBA's Eastern Conference, where playoff positioning comes down to a handful of games. The Liberty, Connecticut Sun, and Atlanta Dream all have more complete rosters. The Fever are betting on rookie development and hoping their veterans can stay healthy enough to compete for a playoff spot. That's a dangerous strategy. Because what happens when Clark hits the rookie wall in July? What happens when opposing defenses start scheming specifically to neutralize her? What happens when Mitchell or Boston picks up an injury because the Fever don't actually have the depth to reduce their minutes? Side says she wants to manage minutes early, establish a true rotation, keep everyone fresh. But watch what happens when they start losing games. Every coach says they want to manage minutes until the losses start piling up. Then suddenly it's back to playing your stars 35 minutes a night and hoping they don't break down. So let's talk about what's really happening here. The Fever are selling hope. They drafted the most marketable player in women's basketball history, paired her with last year's Rookie of the Year in Aliyah Boston, and they're telling fans this team can compete for a championship. But everything we just saw in these interviews tells a different story. Caitlin Clark is nervous. She's admitting she doesn't know what to expect. She's still starstruck by players she'll be competing against. That's not the mindset of someone ready to dominate professional basketball immediately. That's the mindset of a rookie who understands she's about to get a reality check. The coaching staff is already talking about load management and rotation depth before the season even starts. That means they know their veterans are going to be exhausted by mid-season. They know they're going to need contributions from players who aren't ready yet. They know this roster has significant holes that can't be fixed by hype and marketing. And here's what makes this fascinating from a league perspective: the WNBA needs Caitlin Clark to succeed immediately. The ratings, the sponsorships, the media attention, everything is built around her being a star from day one. But player development doesn't work on a marketing timeline. Rookies struggle, they hit walls, they have terrible games where nothing works, and the physicality overwhelms them. So what happens when Clark has her first genuinely bad game? What happens when she goes 2 for 15 from three-point range and commits 7 turnovers against a physical defensive scheme designed to frustrate her? Does the Fever coaching